What's up guys? Today, I'm going to be talking about arguably the worst power in the entirety of Ink game. This style is so bad that it could honestly pass off as a literal cosmetic because it's so freaking useless. Not only that, this power is a low chance to get, and no, it's not mythic, it's not super strength. Can you guess what it is? If you guessed weapon smuggler, you are correct. This power is somehow a legendary in Ink game. The weapon smuggler power in Roblox's Ink game is often criticized for its limited utility and underwhelming impact during gameplay. Despite its rarity as a legendary power with only a 2.9% chance of being obtained, its effectiveness is quite questionable. The ability allows you to spawn either one of two types of throwables: a blast grenade that ragdolls nearby players without causing damage, and a flash grenade that confuses opponents by obscuring their screens. These effects are more disruptive than strategically advantageous, making the power more suitable for trolling rather than competitive play. Now, it may seem like this power is good because it can ragdoll, but here's the big issue. This power is quite literally disabled in like 80% of the games. You can't use IT in red light, green light, which effectively just renders you useless. Unlike other powers like Mythic or Trickster, even Super Strength, you can use Super Strength with the push game pass in red light, green light, but you can't use Weapon Smuggler to spawn throwables to use against players in red light, green light. However, you can spawn and use it during the photo shoot phase before Dalgona, but guess what? It does absolutely nothing. The grenades don't ragdoll like they are supposed to. It doesn't even serve its only purpose of trolling other players. You can also use it after you complete Dalgona, but it also just doesn't do anything. As I said before, it's almost as if this power is like some sort of purely cosmetic thing. However, this power isn't disabled in Lights Out, and you can use it, but guess what? I still don't know if it actually works or not, because as you can see, every time I use a throwable, it does like absolutely nothing to anyone. It doesn't ragdoll or do anything else. I mean, you are better off using Mythic or even Trickster, because at least Trickster you can trip people, and Mythic you can spawn bandages to use on yourself. But when it comes to Weapon Smuggler, I just don't get how this is a legendary power. I mean, it's just incredibly underwhelming. Moving on to Hide and Seek, it's probably more useful to use this as a hider, as the grenade supposedly ragdolls people, and you can use it to stun seekers and run away. However, if you are a seeker, this power is absolutely buns, and does like absolutely nothing. Here's 2 clips of me trying to stun a hider with the grenade. Yep, as you can see, it did absolutely nothing. Now you guys may argue that it was because he was too far away, but come on, a legendary power that spawns grenades should not have an underwhelming point-blank radius. That should have at least ragdolled him. I probably would have got this guy much faster had I used Phantom Step instead. Now, in Jump Rope, all powers are disabled, but you can still spawn a grenade before Jump Rope begins, but you can't use it during the Jump Rope game. I mean, at this point, why not just let us use it in Jump Rope? I mean, this power is so trash, I bet if I were to throw a grenade on that bridge, it wouldn't even knock anybody off. Or if I use a flashbang, it won't do anything either. But seriously, this power is so bad to the point I'd rather have Mythic over this any day. Unless they buff it, I just don't see any reason to use this power at all. Like you can argue that this power might be too broken if it was available in most games. But let's be honest, either they downgrade this power to like a rare or even uncommon, or just straight up buff it. Because it's so bad to the point, it doesn't even do well in the games it's allowed in. It's basically just useless. Weapon Smuggler is also disabled in Glass Bridge, but honestly, this might be one of the few games this power could have been good in, as the grenade could knock off some players. But I can understand why it was disabled in this game mode. That would be too overpowered. The Weapon Smuggler is enabled and mingled, and honestly, I can see it being quite useful as the grenade. It can be used to ragdoll players in the room or even knock them out of the room. But besides that, the flashbang on the other hand could be good for blinding players and then grabbing them to eliminate them, because if they're blinded, they can't see the rhythm game on their screen. It's also good to note that Weapon Smuggler is enabled in the final dinner game, and I guess it could be quite useful if you were getting grouped up on. But moving on, let's talk about yet another bummer of this power. Yep, you guessed it. For some reason, you can't use it in the final Squid Game. I mean, come on, a legendary power is disabled in the Squid Game. People have been complaining about Phantom Step being allowed in most games, especially the final Squid Game, and yet they don't allow this buns fraud of a legendary power that just tosses harmless grenades that barely do anything. I mean, it just sounds ridiculous to me. First off, this ability is like the boogeyman for people rolling for Phantom Step. Ever since it was added, imagine rolling for Phantom Step and you get this instead. I mean, I got this power before Phantom Step and it was honestly disappointing. Like the devs should really buff this power, or, like I said previously, downgrade its rarity, because it's simply not worth the legendary tier, and if they aren't going to buff it, like give it more range or duration. At least enable it in some games like Red Light Green Light or the final Squid Game. Because if Phantom Step is allowed in both, I don't see why this power shouldn't be allowed, because let's be honest, it isn't even half as broken or good as Phantom Step. So anyways, I had enough ranting about how buns this power is as of currently. Now, I want to talk about how I think this power can be improved. Right now, the ability only spawns grenades or flashbangs. The grenades only ragdoll players, and the flashbang only blinds them briefly. They never deal actual damage. If the spawned items could inflict real damage, even if it's small amounts, like 5%, it would bring real value to the ability. Next, as I said before, Weapon Smuggler is disabled in many rounds, like Red Light, Green Light, Jump Rope, Glass Bridge, and the final Squid Game. Allowing it in more game modes would give players more chances to use it. That way, players don't feel powerless in these rounds. Another thing I think that can improve the Weapon Smuggler power is by giving players a choice as to which throwable they want to spawn. Currently, the tool spawns a random item, either a grenade or flashbang, which depending on the situation, can be a hit or miss. Giving players a small choice, like pick one type each round, would let them plan better. Choices give more control to players and just makes it a much more useful power. Now another suggestion I have is to allow more ammunition for the ability. Currently, the ability just gives one throwable and you are only allowed to hold one. After using them once, the player has nothing left. If players could hold 2 or 3 of each, or get more through cooldown or pickups, it would feel more useful and powerful over many rounds. Now my conclusion to this is simple. Giving real damage or multiple uses makes the ability feel stronger. Letting players choose which weapon to spawn gives control and strategy. Making it work in more rounds means it isn't useless in many games. Letting players upgrade or pair it with other powers makes it feel deeper and less like a troll option. With these improvements, Weapon Smuggler could move from being a joke pick to a calculated tool that helps players win rounds. And one more thing that I think should be added to Weapon Smuggler is chances to drop rare items like smoke grenades, short-range stuns, or distraction devices. I think honestly, the currently arsenal of a flashbang and grenade is too less for a legendary ability. Having stuff like a smoke grenade to temporarily block the field of view of your opponents or even things, like stun grenades that stop opponents from moving for a short while, as a rare drop might make the ability much more worthy of its legendary tier. Well, but all of this is just a suggestion. I really hope the devs of Ink Game consider buffing this ability, because I literally don't think it's even worth to use this ability right now. Every ability, including Mythic, is just a much better option, and honestly, it's quite sad. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you watched till the end, please subscribe to my channel and like the video. Really helps. Thanks for watching.